Do you know what significant events have occurred on this day in world history? December 8th. December 8th, 1987 was an important day in the history of the Cold War. In Washington, Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev signed the Intermediate Range and Shorter Range Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, a significant step toward reducing tensions between the two superpowers. These negotiations took place in the midst of ongoing confrontation, and the signing of the treaty demonstrated that it is possible to find common ground even under the most difficult circumstances. The agreement called for the destruction of more than 2,600 missiles and raised hopes for peaceful coexistence. This moment was important not only for the US and the USSR, but for the entire world, which was seeking security and stability. People took to the streets to celebrate the news and express their hope for a better future. But the treaty not only brought peace, it also signaled the need for further steps toward global disarmament. The agreement between the two powers ushered in a new phase of international politics, in which dialogue and compromise became key factors. Despite many challenges, the agreement opened the way for new negotiations and cooperation. It is a pity that there are now countries in the world that spit on the international legal order and unleash new wars in Europe and the Middle East. December 8, 1949 was a day that changed the face of China and its history forever. On that day, after years of civil war and instability, Mao Zedong and the Communist Party of China proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China. The event signaled the end of years of power struggles and the beginning of a new era for the country. Under the leadership of Mao Zedong, the new republic declared its intention to build a socialist society that would fundamentally change the lives of the Chinese people. However, China faced many difficulties along the way, including economic problems and internal conflicts. Nevertheless, the People's Republic was able to persevere and eventually take its place on the world stage as one of the leading powers. China has changed significantly over the decades, transforming from an agrarian country to a powerful industrialized nation. These changes have affected not only domestic politics, but also international relations, where China has become an active player. This development became the basis for future reforms and discoveries that transformed the country. On December 8, 1980, a tragedy occurred in New York City that left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. John Lennon, one of the most influential musicians of his time and a symbol of the era, was the victim of violence. That evening, he was returning home with his wife Yoko Ono after recording new material. It was an ordinary day until they encountered Mark David Chapman, who was a fan but far from what you would call a true fan. Chapman opened fire and 4 bullets fatally wounded John. At the hospital where he was rushed to, doctors were unable to save the musician. The news shocked fans all over the world. Lennon not only created unforgettable music with the Beatles, but also advocated for peace and love. His songs like Imagine became anthems for many, inspiring them to fight for better times. After his death, rallies and memorials were held around the world where people expressed their feelings and grief. On and after that day, people came together to honor an artist who left a deep mark on culture and society. His legacy lives on, inspiring a new generation of musicians and activists. What do you think was John Lennon's most important work? Share in the comments. If you like our video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel. We will keep you happy with other interesting videos. On December 8, 2016, Japan's Hayabusa 2 spacecraft completed its 3-year mission, marking one of the most significant achievements in space exploration. This unique spacecraft, developed by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, traveled to the asteroid Ryugu to study its composition and structure and collect samples. Hayabusa 2 was launched in 2014 and has since traveled more than 3 billion kilometers. It performed a series of complex maneuvers, including landing on the surface of an asteroid. This was not just a technological achievement, but a true engineering feat that required the highest precision and reliability. In 2018, Hayabusa 2 successfully collected soil samples from the asteroid and began its journey back to Earth. The data collected from Ryugu will provide scientists with unique information about the origin of the solar system and the formation of planets. Asteroids like Ryugu are remnants from the past that preserve information about the early stages of planetary development. By studying them, we can learn a great deal about our history and the origin of life on Earth. The Hayabusa 2 mission has become a symbol of international cooperation and scientific progress. The success of this program has inspired a new generation of scientists and engineers around the world. JAXA Japan has proven that even the most ambitious space projects can be realized with innovative technology and teamwork. December 9th. On December 9th, 1965, in the small town of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, an event occurred that forever changed the way many people viewed the UFO phenomenon. This incident became one of the most famous sightings of unidentified flying objects in the history of the United States. That evening, local residents witnessed an unusual phenomenon in the sky. A bright fire, similar to a meteor, swept across the town, leaving a long trail behind it. But it didn't end there. Soon after, a strange object fell to the ground, causing quite a stir. The locals immediately arrived on the scene, followed by the military. What really happened? According to witnesses, the fallen object was conical in shape and metallic in appearance. Some locals claimed to have heard a loud noise similar to an explosion. The government soon launched an investigation, but official explanations that it could have been just a meteor or satellite debris did not satisfy many. Locals were convinced it was something more, possibly a UFO. One of the most interesting details of the incident was that the military quickly surrounded the crash site and removed the object within hours. What was in it? Local authorities and the military continued to claim that it was just a meteor, but those who saw the object remained skeptical. Years after the incident, Kecksburg has become a subject of interest to ufologists and UFO researchers. Locals continue to share their stories, and the incident itself has become part of pop culture, inspiring books, articles, and even documentaries. Despite all this, the mystery of Kecksburg remains unsolved. We still wonder what really happened that day. Was it just an illusion, or was there a real contact with something else? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The year 1824 was a landmark in the history of Latin America, and especially in the history of Peru. It was the year of an important event, the Battle of Ayacucho, which not only ended the Peruvian War of Independence, but also became a decisive moment in the struggle of all the countries of South America for freedom from Spanish rule. The patriotic forces were led by General Antonio José de Sucre, an outstanding military leader and strategist who had proven himself in earlier battles, including the famous Battle of Buena. Sucre was a staunch ally of Simón Bolívar, and his leadership was a decisive factor in the Battle of Ayacucho. The battle took place on December 9th, 1824, in a scenic area surrounded by mountains. The Peruvian army, led by General Sucre, consisted of 6,000 men, while the Royalists had about 8,000 soldiers for the battle. However, through brilliant strategy and tactics, Sucre was able to take advantage of the terrain and completely defeat the enemy. The victory at Ayacucho was the culmination of years of struggle for independence, and after this battle, the Spanish authorities effectively lost control of Peru. This was a landmark moment not only for Peru, but for the entire continent, inspiring other countries to fight for freedom. After Sucre's victory, the national flag and Peruvian pride soared over the battlefield. This victory symbolized not only physical independence, but also the spiritual liberation of the people from colonial oppression. General Sucre became a hero, and his contribution to Latin American independence was unforgettable. Today, the Battle of Ayacucho remains a milestone in Peruvian history, reminding us of the resilience and courage of those who fought for their freedom. In this context, the memory of such events is a necessary part of our historical heritage. December 9th, 2005, will go down in history as the day London officially retired its famous red double-decker buses, known as route masters. These buses were not just a means of transportation, but a true symbol of the British capital, leaving an indelible mark on the culture and life of the city. The route masters first appeared on the streets of London in 1956 and were immediately popular. Their elegant design and bright colors attracted attention and served not only as a convenient means of transportation, but also as a tourist attraction. During their decades of service, the route masters witnessed many stories, from ordinary commutes to unforgettable events, such as wedding processions and tourist tours. Their double-decker design provided excellent views of the city, making the trips particularly attractive to passengers. In the early 21st century, however, it became apparent that the aging route masters were in need of replacement. Due to modern safety and comfort requirements, the city authorities decided to end their operation on linear routes. This event symbolized the end of an era for London. But there was also a reason to celebrate. Despite the end of service, the route masters have not disappeared from the city streets. They continue to delight tourists and locals alike on special routes and excursions. Have you ever ridden one of these route masters? Friends, if you liked our video, put a like, subscribe to the channel to learn about many significant historical events.